You have to kind of straddle the line between being anonymous and being public all the time, and I think that's one of the challenges that technology presents to us, is like, how do you have a private life in a public way? Or, it's kind of a contradiction in a lot of ways.
For the last 10 years, I'd say I've been focused on what happens as archives become digital, so what happens to all the data, and then a lot of privacy and security concerns. So as our society moves into a digital period, what's happening in that transition? Are things being lost? Are there things we're not aware that are changing? And how can we think about that in ways that aren't just purely digital? So rather than have a conversation on Facebook about it, I try to make artworks about it that might dig into it in different ways.
As a curator, when I start to see the relationship between this sophisticated technology that's voice activated or seemingly voice activated, and then these prints that are drawn from a bookmaking, binding technology where it's really intensive labor, hands-on, I wonder really what then is the relationship between the two bodies of work. It's interesting that they're together because I think one reminds you of the other. And I think what you're trying to get at with the pairing of the two is to remind the viewer that this creative process that involves the making, the hands-on making, is exactly the same as this process, which requires a hands-on making, but you're using ephemeral material, information that you have to manage and corral and somehow condense, but it has no physical presence to it.
Notably, the idea for the work in spaces came from this line in the terms of service of Twitter and Google, which is, we, the company, have the right to publicly display or publicly perform your data. So I wanted to explore what it means to perform or display data, because if they have the right to do that with our data, then we certainly have the right. So this piece, Data Transmissions, is a public display of people's cell phone data, and the piece Echoings is a way to display our interactions or our data that's captured by passive devices that we have on our bodies or in our homes. So for example, our phones, you can wake them up by saying Siri or Google Now or Alexa, so they're constantly listening to us. For this work, I commissioned 5 different writers to make specific pieces for the Alexa. I gave each writer an Alexa and they lived with it for 2 weeks, and they were encouraged to go back through their log files and see how they were interacting with Alexa, listen to what Alexa was recording of them, reflect on that, and then write new poems, essays, short fiction pieces for Alexa that would exclusively be played back on Alexa.
I have worked closely with disability rights activists for healthcare projects, which makes this data strange, along with Amazon, its subsidiaries, and our trusted partners.
Social media, Facebook, Instagram, who likes you, who doesn't like you, it's all affirmation of who we are. So at the same time that technology alienates us from society, from each other, it also reinforces the idea that technology is your best friend because it knows you better than anyone else. We're so enamored with the reflection of who we are that it's hard to tell it to stop reflecting me back to me. Because if you stop, then who am I? What am I going to do? I'm going to be, lost. So I think we need to grow beyond that narcissistic relationship we have with technology, and I think it'll happen culturally because what we have now is not sustainable.